How you doing, guys? Ricky from Average Eskate Review. So in this one you're probably going to be quite happy to see that we're going to be reviewing or taking a look at a different board other than Evolve. And before we jump into the video, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. So let's jump into the video. So we've got the Unlimited Loaded X board and I've got the TESSERACT Deck with the race kit on there. So without a doubt, when you first look at this board, it is a very, very pretty board, from the Paris trucks to the loaded deck on there. The board just looks absolutely stunning. Now, one of the great things that I like about this board is the fact that it's a modular design, so you can take in and out the batteries, they're swappable. You can also take this kit off and put it onto any deck that you desire. So in terms of the way that it's built, it's a great looking board with great functionality. So one of the things that made me gravitate towards this deck style with the TESSERACT Deck is because of the double kicktail on it. After seeing Chris ride about on the Stoke board there, being able to manually and tic-tac-toe about on there, that's really what caught my eye and made me think, yeah, this is the one that I want to try out. So using this deck with the double kicktail on there has been extremely fun to ride. Now, when it comes to setting the actual board up itself, this as a kit came fully assembled, so it's just a case of charging the batteries up and turning it on. Getting the remote to pair with the board was quite finicky and took us a little while to try and figure out how to do it. But afterwards, we'd looked at the instruction manual and it's all clearly written out there. So we spent ages trying to set it up and get it all to work, change the speed mode on it, the speedo from kilometers to an hour to miles per hour. Whereas if we'd have just looked in the manual in the first place, we'd have been able to do it as easy as anything. So definitely going to give points to them for clearly laying it out in the manual there, how to connect and set up the board. So once we'd actually figured it out and got the remote to pair up with the board, it was as simple as anything and we was just straight out riding. Which brings me on nicely, and that is the remote. So the remote for me has actually been quite good. I do like the ergonomics of it. It's quite small in the hand and it does actually feel quite nice. Now, when you put a pair of, say, gloves on by Flatland 3D or any other manufacturer out there, it did feel a little bit too small with the gloves on, as they make your hand feel that bit more bulkier. But in terms of the way it actually felt, was quite nice. So the joystick on the actual remote itself actually is quite nice. It's not too bad. But in terms of how I felt using other remotes out there, I did find it a little bit sloppy. I'd like something with a little bit more tension in there to be able to really feel and dial in that accelerating and braking. But in terms of as a remote goes, it's got all the information on the screen that you'd need, your speed, the battery percentage of the board. I do wish they'd have a odometer on there so you can actually see the trip that you've taken, how far you've been. And in terms of everything that you'd need to see on a remote, it's pretty much got it on there. I would like the build quality to be a little bit better, and like I said, the joystick to have a little bit more tension there to really dial in your accelerating and braking. But in terms of a remote, I do think it's quite a nice little remote. Now, when we talk about the actual ride of this board, for me personally, like I said in previous videos, I'm a light rider. I'm about 60 kilograms. So for me, the bushings have been just that little bit too stiff. I've got the trucks completely loosened as much as I can, and I still can't get enough weight in there to carve it really, really nice. But when I do get up to full speed with the trucks being like that as well, I do start to get a little bit of speed wobble. So it's going to take me a little while to adapt to the way that the board is and maybe swap the bushings out on it to try and dial those trucks in to get it to feel and respond the way that I want it to. But in terms of actually going for a ride, it's been extremely fun. Like I said about tic-tac-toeing and trying to manual the board, put countless amounts of scratches on the deck already from trying this out, and I fell over a few times as well. So in terms of the way that it actually feels when I'm riding it, it's really, really nice. Now, when we talk about the wheels of the board there, they're using the Orangutan 85mm wheels, and the urethane on these is great. Carving on this, the board just really, really sticks to the road. I've not had any slide outs on it or anything like that. And in terms of the way of like going over bumps and lumps of concrete, it's actually been surprisingly smooth considering that it's a hub motored board. So the ride has been really, really great. Obviously, I'll go into more detail about my experience on this in the full review. This is just an overview of how it's been for me so far. But in terms of the way that the board's ridden and the way that it feels, it's really, really good. I just need to dial those trucks in and get that to just work for me the way that I want it to ride. Now, like I mentioned on the wheel side of this board, the front wheels are 85mm Orangutan wheels, and also on the back of the hub motors, the sleeves that actually go over the hub motor itself is an Orangutan urethane as well. So all around on this board, you've got really great urethane, and like I said, it really does stick to the road well. Now, when we take a look at the acceleration of this board, I found it to be really good. It's got some great acceleration. There is, however, a slight delay, ever so slightly. I mean, we're talking less than a second, but it's definitely noticeable when you're accelerating on the board and also braking as well. Now, in terms of braking, they have been a little bit hit or miss for me. Sometimes they've been really on the ball and really sharp, and other times have just been non-existent. So I don't really know what's going on there. I obviously need more time to use the board and learn the way that this board actually reacts to you braking and accelerating. But from a first ride and the first impressions of the board itself, the braking does seem to be a little bit soft sometimes, a little bit hit or miss. So when we look at some of the specs of the board, we've got a top speed of 26 miles per hour, and we've also got a range of around 13 miles. Obviously, I've not been able to achieve those yet just due to the fact that this is a first ride and impressions, but obviously more detail will be gone through in the full review. And you're looking at a price of around £1,300 as well. So my overall experience on this board after just riding it a handful of times is that it's definitely a nice board. It's made of quality components. I still need to tweak it to the way that I like to ride, but in terms of just the build quality itself and the torque that you're able to achieve, the top speed and all the rest of it, obviously I will go into way more detail in the full review regarding this board, but this was just a quick overview and a quick look just to let you guys know that we've got this on the channel. We're going to be doing a full review on it, so look out for that one. But if you haven't liked, subscribe, consider doing so you can stay up to date with all the videos we post. Once again, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.